we had two ways to do that so far. We had side, angle, side,
Side.
which looks something like this. You have two sides and the angle between them. That's side, angle, side. And then next we looked at side, 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 which means I knew all three sides. That one's pretty simple. Today we're going to add two more to that. We're going to add angle, side, angle, which looks like an angle, a side, and then another angle. And we're also going to add angle, angle, side, which is where you know an angle, you know the next angle, and then the side after it. So we're going to have 4 ways to prove triangles congruent after today's lesson. Okay, so right here we just have a technician installs cables from a cell phone tower to the ground. To pass inspection, both cables must be the same length. Does this installation meet cable length requirements? So we see the two cables. In order to pass inspection, the cables must be the same length. So let's see, do we have enough information to say that the cables are the same length? Well, let's look and see. So when I look at this picture, I see two triangles. I have a triangle here in yellow, and I have a triangle here in blue. Okay, so if those cables are the same length, then that means they are congruent parts, or they are corresponding parts of congruent triangles. And therefore they have to be congruent. So let's see, what do we know? We know that this here is a right angle. So that means that it meets perpendicularly. So if that forms a right angle, then I have a right angle here. So I know they have a shared angle, and then I know that they have another angle that is shared. So I'm thinking, okay, if I know two angles, I'm either wanting to use angle, side, angle, or angle, angle, side. So is there any way we can say we have a side that is congruent?
Where the tower is, because they're sharing the same line.
Right, the tower is part of the same line. Right, look at that tower where the blue and yellow meet each other. That is the same line. So I know that that side is congruent to itself because it shares that side. So do I have enough to say that the blue triangle and the yellow triangle are congruent?
Yes.
Yes, because of angle, side, angle, I know the triangles are exactly congruent. Therefore, if the triangles have to be congruent, then that means this cable and this cable are the same length. Otherwise, they wouldn't be congruent triangles. So here on this one, we want to know, is Jkl congruent to MNO? So let's map them together. So if we go J has to map to M. Are these congruent? Yes. And then K needs to map to N. Are those congruent? Yes. And look, I went along the same side, right? It was by 1. So is there enough to say that these two triangles are congruent? Yes, because of angle, side, angle. So the first question, are those congruent? Yes, because of angle, side, angle. Now the second one, we're looking at JKL and PQR. So J needs to go with P. Do those match up? Yes. And then we've got K and Q. Do those match up?
Yes.
Yes. And then do we go along the same side?
Yes.
No.
What?
No.
Yeah, it's good.
So we go from here to here, and I have a tick mark on this side. But the tick mark here is over here. It's on the side, right? So this one's angle, angle, side, where this one is angle, side, angle. So are they congruent to each other?
No.
No, they're not. No, they're not, because the corresponding parts are in the wrong positions. Questions there? Okay, now we want to look at these shapes, these 4 sets of triangles, and want to determine if they are congruent to each other. or if we can't say. So when I look at these two triangles, is there enough information to say they are congruent?
Yes.
Yes, and how do you know they are congruent?
The essay is.
Side angle side?
Angle side.
Oh, yeah.
Angle
That
side.
makes more sense.
It's angle side angle, right? We've got angle, side, angle with both of those. So those two triangles are congruent because of angle, side, angle. What about these two? Is there enough to say they are congruent?
Yes.
Yes, and how?
Triple S.
Side, side, side. Okay. What about these two?
Double AS.
Angle, angle, side, angle, angle, side. So yes, we have enough.
Double AS.
It is angle, angle, side. And then here, do we have enough information?
No.
Yes.
No.
What is it?
The angles aren't in the same spot.
Okay, right here, the angle is between the two sides, but here the angle is not between these two sides. So this one is side angle side, but this is not side angle side. Therefore, no, they're not congruent. Okay, this one tells me to prove, so I'm going to have to make a 2-column proof with statements and reasons. So notice what it asks me to prove, that's always my last statement. My first statement is always the given. So we're going to start by writing down everything that's given to me. So they tell me GH is congruent to KL. They tell me angle GFH is congruent to angle KJL. And they tell me angle FGH is congruent to angle JKL. So I write down all three of those things that were given to me, and the reason is given. So in the end, I'm wanting to prove that side FH is congruent to side JL. So if I can find that these two triangles are congruent, then those two could be in corresponding positions. So corresponding parts of congruent triangles have to be congruent. So do I have enough information right now to say that those triangles are congruent?
Yes.
But
By what?
what angles, what numbers are congruent to each other?
I have enough by angle, angle, side, right? I know two angles and then a side following them. So I can go ahead and state the triangles are congruent. We just have to be careful how we name them. Right, so we have triangle FGH is how I'm going to name the first one. So which angle corresponds with angle F? J. Which angle corresponds to angle G? K. And then H? L. So I have enough information to say the triangles are congruent by angle, angle, side. So now as soon as I say the triangles are congruent, then that means all these missing pieces must also be congruent. That means H and L have to be congruent. That means that FG and JK have to be congruent. And it also means that FH and JL must be congruent, which is what I'm wanting to say. So I now know that FH is congruent to JL because corresponding parts of congruent triangles must be congruent. Cpctc. This time we're not necessarily working with triangles, but it still follows the same stuff we've learned before. So it tells me ABCD is congruent to EFGH. Then they want us to find the value of x. So when I look at this problem, the x is part of side EH. EH corresponds to which side in ABCD? EH corresponds with AD. And if they are congruent, that means that they must be equal. So AD must be equal to EH. So if they're equal, let's say they're equal. 2x minus 3 has to be equal to 9. Now can I find what x is? Yes, by solving. I can add 3. That tells me 2x equals 12. I can divide by 2. Tells me x equals 6.